Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to use Adobe Animate to animate an object. Please listen throughout the end because you will be having your quiz at the end of this lesson. You will find your quiz link at the description box below. Animating objects. At the lower part of Adobe Animate interface is the timeline. In the timeline, there are frames which are used to arrange and control the different assets on the stage. These frames can be placed and move around in any order you want. Its final placement will then be followed in the final published product. The selection tool. To modify an object, you first have to select it using the pointer, also known as the selection tool. You will know that the object is selected once it is highlighted. Each object can be selected and modified one by one, but you can also group multiple objects and edit them as if they are a single object. To select multiple objects, you can click on them one by one using selection tool while pressing the shift key. Another way to select multiple objects is to click and drag on the area where the objects are using the selection tool. This automatically selects all the objects in that area. Keyframe. Keyframes are frames that contain the same objects from previous frames. However, there is also a keyframe variant that has no object inside it. To insert keyframe that contains the same object from the previous frame, right-click on an empty space in the timeline and select Insert Keyframe. To insert a keyframe that contains no object inside it, right-click on the empty space in the timeline and select Insert Blank Keyframe. Another way to add keyframe is by clicking on an empty space in the timeline and then clicking on Insert, Timeline, Keyframe or Blank Keyframe. Frame. Frames are essential in Adobe Animate as they are the ones that hold all your objects. Showing a frame means showing all the objects that you have placed in that specific frame. This is where most of animation takes place. To add a frame, right-click on an empty space in the timeline and click on Insert Frame. Another way to add a frame is by clicking on an empty space in the timeline and then clicking on Insert, Timeline, Frame, or by simply pressing F5. Frame by frame animation. Animations, no matter how complex they are, can be divided into different pieces or frames. This applies to Adobe Animate as well. If you look at the timeline, you will see a red line that passes through each frame one by one. Every time the red line passes by a frame, it displays what is inside the frame. This is called frame by frame animation. Let's do an activity. To learn more about frame by frame animation, open your Adobe Animate, create new. If you're using Adobe Animate, click Standard. If you're using Adobe Flash, click ActionScript 3.0. You may select your stage color on the Properties panel. Now, we are going to draw a bouncing ball animation. First, you have to select the oval tool. Letter O is the hotkey or the shortcut key. Select orange as the fill color. Black as the stroke color. You can also change the thickness of stroke by dragging the slider, or you can just insert a number. Now we're ready to go. Let us draw our ball in the middle. To make sure that you are drawing a perfect circle, you may click Shift while drawing your ball. Let us add some details to our ball. Click the line tool or letter N on your keyboard and let's draw some details on our basketball. Usually, a basketball details on the ball is curved. We are going to curve this line. You may click Selection tool or letter V on your keyboard. Hover over the line. When you see the curve symbol, it means you can curve it by clicking it and dragging it. So let's try to curve it. For the finishing of our ball, let's draw a line in the middle, which divides the upper part and the lower part of the ball. Let us now add some frames and create an animation for our ball. To make sure that you won't add any unnecessary objects on your frame, you may select Selection tool, press F6 to add a new keyframe. Use the Selection tool to select your object and use your keyboard down keyboard to move your ball downward. Move it a little bit. Press F6 again. As you can see, each time we press F6, keyframes can be seen here. Let's click down, F6, down. Continue doing this until the ball hits the ground or the lower part of your screen. The more frame it has, the smoother the animation is. When you hit the ground, you may select the up keyboard. Keep doing it until you reach your initial position. After that, you may press Ctrl CTRL on your keyboard plus Enter simultaneously to view your animation. When you are satisfied with your animation, you may now save it. If you want to save it, you click File, Save As, look for your desired destination, name your file, and you're good to go. That will be all for today. I hope that you learned something. Bye everyone.